They called me just before dawn. Detective Harris? We've got a missing girl, age 9, been gone since last night. Those words never get easier to hear. You'd think that after 17 years on the job, seeing the worst parts of humanity up close, your skin would thicken. It doesn't. Not when the victim is a child. I arrived at the Monroe residence at 5:43 a.m. Maple Falls was still waking up. Fog clung to the streets like a memory no one wanted to recall. The house sat on the edge of Oak Ridge Lane. White siding, front porch swing, wind chimes tinkling in the soft morning breeze. A place that looked like safety, until it wasn't. The mother, Carla Monroe, met me at the porch. Mid-30s, thin frame, still in her diner uniform. Her hands trembled as she lit a cigarette with a cracked Bic lighter. Her eyes were bloodshot, hollow, like she'd been staring at the same spot on the floor for hours and still hadn't found the answer she was looking for. She's never done this, Carla said before I asked anything. Lily doesn't just disappear. She always comes straight home after school. Always. She didn't need to convince me. Her voice wasn't trying to hide anything. It was frayed, unraveling at the edges. It's easy to spot the liars. Carla wasn't one of them. Lily Monroe, age 9, brown hair, hazel eyes, last seen riding her bike home from school around 4 p.m. According to Carla, she never arrived. The school confirmed Lily had left on time. A neighbor 2 blocks down reported seeing her turn onto Oak Ridge, but never saw her again after that. Her bike was found in a drainage ditch about 200 yards from the house. Pink, with faded stickers and a frayed ribbon on the left handlebar. No sign of a struggle, no skid marks, no dropped backpack. It looked like someone had gently set the bike down and walked away. And that's what bothered me most. It was too quiet. Inside Lily's room, everything was in place. Stuffed animals neatly arranged on the bed, homework spread across her desk. A nightlight shaped like a star glowed softly in the corner. On the windowsill sat a jar of marbles, arranged by color. She was methodical, thoughtful, the kind of kid who didn't just wander off. There was a diary in the top drawer. It wasn't locked. I flipped through it carefully. Most of it was innocent enough. Doodles, notes about classmates, lists of favorite things. But an entry from 5 days ago made me pause. A man in a red truck waved at me again today. He smiled. I looked away. Again, that word stuck out. I took a photo of the page and slipped the diary back into place. Outside, the sky was brightening, but the air felt heavy. I walked the block twice, talked to neighbors. Everyone said the same thing. Lily was sweet, quiet, polite. No one saw anything. No screams, no engine revving, no suspicious figures. That, to me, was louder than any alarm bell. Either someone knew exactly what they were doing, or this town didn't pay enough attention to its own children. Chief Tommy Langford, a friend from my early days on the force, joined me near the ditch. "You thinking local?" he asked, arms crossed over his chest. I looked at the grass, still wet from overnight dew. No drag marks, no broken branches. "Maybe," I said. Someone she didn't run from. Tommy exhaled through his nose. "Jesus, it's been less than 12 hours. You think she's still alive?" I didn't answer. You learn not to promise things in this job, especially not hope. As we spoke, Carla came running out of the house yelling. She held a folded piece of paper in her hand. "This was in the mailbox," she cried. "It wasn't there last night, I swear it." I took it from her gently. White envelope, no return address. Inside was a single sheet of lined paper, typed. Just one sentence. You should have watched her more closely. That's when I knew this wasn't random. This wasn't a simple snatch and grab. This was personal. Someone wanted to be noticed. Someone wanted us to feel the weight of their presence before we even saw their face. That note changed everything. I ordered immediate surveillance on the neighborhood. I pulled all red truck sightings from the last 3 weeks. I requested access to every doorbell camera in a 5-mile radius. And I called in help from the state. I wasn't going to lose this girl. But even as I gave the orders, something settled deep in my gut. A feeling I hadn't had since the Caldwell case back in '09. That one didn't end well. This one couldn't end the same way. It had been 24 hours since Lily disappeared. Time was no longer neutral. It had become our enemy. Every hour that passed meant fading possibilities. From the outside, Maple Falls still looked like a quiet town. But that quiet now had weight. It wasn't peace anymore. It was pressure. A low hum of fear, curiosity, and whispers. Early that morning, I returned to the scene where Lily's bike had been found. The spot was still taped off, now surrounded by flowers, stuffed toys, and handwritten notes. Someone had tied a pink balloon to the stop sign. Someone else had written, "We'll find you, Lily," in chalk on the sidewalk. But hope fades fast when it rubs up against reality. I scanned the area again. That's when I saw it. A faint glint in the underbrush. I knelt down and reached in. A dusty, rusted metal button stamped with Langston and Sons, Uniform Company. There were no such companies in Maple Falls. No security firms. No local uniforms marked with that name. It could be nothing. Or it could mean someone was pretending to be someone they weren't. A uniform, after all, makes you invisible to most people. I bagged it for evidence and made a mental note. Pull that thread when the time was right. First stop, Alice Myers, Carla's elderly next-door neighbor. She had known Lily for years. She was such a quiet girl, Alice told me, respectful. But lately, something seemed off. How so? I asked. She used to sit by the window every afternoon, same time, just looking out. This week, the curtains stayed closed. That stuck with me. Children sense danger before adults do. They don't explain it, they just withdraw, hide. Maybe Lily knew something, or someone. Next, I visited Carla's workplace, the diner. The mood inside was brittle. Coffee cups clinked louder than usual. Conversations were short. People stared at their plates. A waitress named Rose pulled me aside quietly. "You think her ex-husband might have come back?" The way she said it made my skin crawl. "Jake Monroe?" I asked. She nodded. "Yeah, Carla never talked much about him. But last week she told me someone had texted her from a blocked number, said he wanted to see Lily, just once. She was freaked out but didn't report it. Said she felt someone watching the house some nights. No cameras." I hadn't asked Carla about this. She was fragile when we first spoke, too broken to go digging through old ghosts. But now, I had no choice. Back at the house, Carla sat on the couch, holding one of Lily's hair ties, twisting it in her fingers. Her voice was faint, but her posture had changed. She was ready to talk. "Jake used to be everything," she said, "until he wasn't. The drinking changed him. He never touched Lily, but me, too many times." "When did you last hear from him?" 3 years ago, then nothing, but last week, yeah. A message came through, said, "I just want to see her, one time." I didn't answer. I deleted it, but the feeling stayed. We checked her phone. No number saved, but the message timestamp was still in the system, 2:41 a.m., a ghost in the middle of the night. Obsession has a specific hour. I pulled up Jake Monroe's file. Domestic abuse, bar fights, suspended license. Last known address was in California, but it was outdated. No active employment, no vehicle registration, a man off the grid. That's when I got a call from the surveillance review team. A red pickup truck had driven down Oak Ridge Lane twice on the day Lily vanished. Same vehicle, blurry plate. But one detail stood out. A sticker on the rear window that read, "Daddy's Girl." Could be a coincidence, could be a message. A man obsessed with seeing his daughter might not say it out loud, but he might stick it on his truck. I showed the footage to Carla. She leaned in. When the sticker came into frame, her breath caught. "That's Jake's truck," she whispered. "It used to sit in our garage. I put that sticker on the back window myself. Lily was 3. Just like that, Jake wasn't a memory anymore. He was real, present, and possibly circling this town right now. But something else had changed, too. On my way back, I took a different route, an alley that ran behind the diner and library. On a brick wall, freshly sprayed graffiti caught my eye. Bright red paint, jagged letters. Some kids disappear quietly because no one listens loud enough. I didn't know who wrote it, but they were right. This town had missed something or ignored it. And maybe, just maybe, the truth was hiding in the silence they were too afraid to break. There's a moment in every case when the facts stop moving forward and start folding in on themselves. When the trail doesn't go cold, but turns inward, twisting, tightening. That was where we were now. 3 days into Lily Monroe's disappearance, and the picture we thought we had, the one with Jake Monroe painted as the unstable, absentee father with just enough darkness to make him a viable threat, had begun to blur. We had spent 2 days turning over his past, his vices, his patterns. But something didn't feel right. It was too clean, too obvious. Predators aren't usually the ones who stand in plain sight with neon signs. That morning, we got a call from 2 hikers. Said they heard crying near an old cabin up in Deer Ridge, an area abandoned since the logging company shut down years ago. I was already in my car before dispatch finished relaying the location. The cabin was as they'd said, dilapidated, half swallowed by vines and years. But the padlock on the chain was new, stainless steel, fresh. The way it gleamed in the mist made me flinch. We cut the chain and entered. The air inside was thick with mold and something worse, something faintly sweet and rotten. Stale food? Sweat? I couldn't tell. But I could feel that someone had been here recently, maybe still was. We moved slowly. Then I saw it, a child's t-shirt, crumpled on the floor beneath the window, sky blue. Elsa from Frozen, same shirt Lily was reported to be wearing. My heart hammered so loud I couldn't hear the footsteps of my team behind me. Next to it, a plastic bag. Inside were 3 juice boxes, 2 empty granola bar wrappers, and a pair of tiny socks, pink with little white stars. At the very bottom, something heavier, a photograph. I turned it over. It was old, faded. A picture of Carla, Lily, and Jake, smiling. But on the back, scribbled in marker, one sentence. "It starts with you. It ends with you." My hands froze midair. That wasn't Jake's handwriting. We'd seen his before on reports, receipts, police statements. His letters were heavy, aggressive. This was smooth, controlled, calculated. Someone was orchestrating something. I stepped outside, radioed in the find, and ordered a sweep of the area. But I didn't join the search. I drove back into town, pulled the blinds in my office, and replayed every detail of this case from the beginning. I had to start over, tear the narrative apart, and rebuild it from the ground up. Jake was still a suspect, But what if he was also a distraction? My answer came through a detail we had missed. A preschool just outside Oak Ridge Lane had a security camera. On the day Lily vanished, a red pickup truck passed by at 3:47 p.m. It matched the vehicle Carla had identified as Jake's. Except this time, we had a clear view of the driver. It wasn't Jake, it was a woman. Her face was pale, serious. Her hair pulled back into a messy bun. She didn't glance at the camera. She didn't need to. She didn't think anyone would be watching, but I was watching now. I printed the still and drove straight to Carla's. When she saw the image, her face drained of color. "That's Hannah," she whispered. "Jake's sister." I sat down slowly. "Why didn't you mention her before?" Carla hesitated. "She hasn't been part of our lives for years. After the breakdown, I cut contact. Jake said she needed help, that she wasn't safe around Lily." "Why?" Carla took a long breath. She was obsessed with the idea that Lily was hers. She used to say things like, "She looks more like me than you." It got weird. One day she tried to take Lily from school. That's when I told Jake I never wanted her near us again. I pulled Hannah Monroe's record. It wasn't easy to find, buried under outdated databases and sealed medical files. She had studied early childhood development. Then, in 2016, she had a public breakdown, delusional behavior, obsessional thinking, diagnosed with a rare personality disorder, committed to a psychiatric facility in Denver, released a year later under community supervision, disappeared shortly after. She'd become a ghost. Until now. The next tip came just as the last light was fading. A grocery store 28 miles outside Maple Falls flagged their security footage. It showed a woman, matching Hannah's appearance, entering the store with a child. The timestamp, the morning after Lily vanished. The child's face was turned away, hair brushed neatly over her face. But the shirt? Elsa. Again. I watched the footage over and over, frame by frame. The little girl reached for the woman's sleeve, not in fear, but in comfort. That moment shattered everything. This wasn't a kidnapping in the traditional sense. This was something more twisted. A woman who believed deep in the folds of her illness that Lily was hers, that she had been wronged, that the only way to make it right was to take her back. We had spent 3 days looking for a man, and the entire time, the danger was coming from a woman none of us had thought to look for. Someone who had disappeared from the records, but not from her obsession. And suddenly, everything Carla feared, every shadow at her window, every instinct she'd buried, clicked into place. Hannah hadn't just taken Lily, she had been watching them for years, and now she was playing her endgame, and I, Detective Nathan Harris, was behind. Again, by the 4th day, exhaustion had settled into my bones like cement. Every hour felt heavier. Every theory felt thinner. We had traced the route back and forth between Maple Falls and the grocery store. Every rest stop, every gas station, every shadow of a road. It was like Hannah had melted into the landscape. I didn't sleep the night before. I sat at my desk until the sun began to break through the blinds, reviewing everything again. The footage, the witness statements, even the notes I scribbled in the margins of case files. I wasn't looking for a new clue anymore. I was looking for something I had missed. Hannah had a pattern. She didn't run far. She returned to places with meaning. The cabin, the grocery store, the truck. All of them were within a tight radius. She didn't trust the world beyond what she remembered. That's when I thought of the lake. There was a small lake on the outskirts of Maple Falls. Not on the map. Used to be a fishing spot decades ago. No official name, just something locals called Echo Point. I had gone there as a teenager. There was a trailer parked there permanently. An old rusted thing barely big enough for two people to sleep in. I don't know why I remembered it, but once I did, I couldn't shake the thought. I called dispatch and asked for a unit to meet me there, but not to use sirens. Quiet approach. I didn't want to scare anyone. I arrived first. The air around the trailer was still. No sound, no birds, no wind. That kind of silence never means peace. It means something is watching. I parked a little down the trail, approached on foot. The curtains were drawn, but I saw movement. Not panicked, just life. Someone was inside. By the trailer steps, half tucked under the metal skirting, was a sock. Small, pink with stars. I'd seen the match to it before, in the trash bag at the cabin. That was enough. I signaled to the officer who had just arrived. We moved in quietly. No shouting. I knocked on the door. Once, then again, no answer. I turned the handle. It was unlocked. Inside, it smelled like canned soup and baby shampoo. A strange combination. Too clean. Like someone trying to recreate safety. There were books on the shelf. Dolls stacked neatly in a basket. A glass of orange juice on the table. And on the small bed, Lily. She was sitting up. Her eyes were open. She looked at me, but didn't move. She wasn't scared. She wasn't crying. She just looked gone. Like her body was there, but her spirit was somewhere else. Hannah was next to her. She was holding a spoon about to feed Lily. She turned when she saw me. She didn't yell. She didn't panic. She just smiled. "She's okay," she said. She just needed a little time. I told her to step back. She didn't. She said, "You don't understand. She doesn't belong to them. She belongs to me." Lily looked at me again. Her lips moved. I read them, not heard them. "She's not my mom." That was it. Hannah froze. Her whole body seemed to lock up. Then she put the spoon down and walked to the corner of the trailer. Sat down on the floor, put her hands over her face. Didn't speak again. I walked to Lily. She didn't resist when I picked her up. She was light, small. But the moment she wrapped her arms around my neck, something inside me gave out. I stepped outside. The other officer took Hannah into custody without a fight. She didn't say a word the entire ride back. In the days after, everything came out. Hannah had been watching them for over a year. She'd been living out of motels, sleeping in the truck, getting closer a little at a time. The cabin wasn't random. The trailer wasn't luck. She had mapped it all. Jake, it turned out, had been dead for years, overdose, Nevada. The image we had of him, angry, broken, dangerous, was real. But it wasn't the threat we thought. He was just a memory Hannah had used to distract us. She had created a reality where Lily belonged to her. And the scariest part? She believed it. She was found unfit to stand trial. Transferred to a psychiatric facility indefinitely. Lily didn't speak for 5 days. Not even to Carla. When I stopped by to check in, she was sitting in the living room, curled up with a blanket. She didn't look at me when I walked in. But after a few minutes, she got up and handed me a small notebook. There was only one sentence inside. "I don't want to be little anymore." I sat in my car for a long time after that. She would grow, she would heal, or try to, but that sentence would never leave me. Somewhere along the way, this became more than just a case. It became a reflection of what silence can hide, of how easily someone can vanish while being watched, of how not all monsters shout. Some whisper, some smile, some sing lullabies in trailers no one visits.